Olivia Carter had learned long ago that life rarely gave second chances. At 27, she worked as a housekeeper in one of the most luxurious hotels in New York, spending her days cleaning rooms she could never afford to stay in. Every dollar she earned went toward caring for her grandmother, Margaret, the only family she had left.
Despite the long hours and aching feet,
Olivia greeted every guest with a warm smile because she believed kindness was worth more than wealth. One rainy afternoon, the hotel buzzed with excitement as employees rushed to prepare for a private charity gala hosted by billionaire entrepreneur Alexander Reed. His name was known around the world. He had built one of the largest technology companies in the country before turning 35, and magazines constantly described him as powerful, intelligent, and impossible to impress. The hotel manager gathered the staff before the event. "Mr. Reed expects perfection," he warned. "No mistakes," Olivia quietly nodded before making her way to the presidential suite assigned to Alexander. As she polished the windows overlooking Central Park, she noticed an elderly woman struggling to lift two heavy suitcases near the elevator. Several guests walked past without stopping. Olivia didn't hesitate. She hurried into the hallway and smiled. "May I help you?" The woman looked relieved. "Thank you, dear." These bags seemed to get heavier every. Olivia carried the luggage all the way to the woman's room, making sure she was comfortable before returning to finish her work. The trip had taken nearly 15 minutes. When Olivia opened the door to the presidential suite again, her heart nearly stopped. Alexander Reed stood in the center of the room, his tailored navy suit still damp from the rain outside. He glanced around at the unfinished cleaning before looking directly at her. "You were assigned to this suite?" he asked calmly. Olivia swallowed nervously. "Yes, sir." "Then why did you leave?" She could have invented an excuse, but she never liked lying. "An elderly guest needed help carrying her luggage." Alexander studied her expression. "And you decided helping her was more important than finishing your job?" "Yes." "You knew you could lose your position?" She nodded. "It did." "Then why take the risk?" Olivia met his eyes. "Because if one day my grandmother needed help, I'd hope someone would stop for her too." For several seconds, Alexander said nothing. Finally, he gave a slight nod. "Finish the room." "I'll wait." Olivia quietly returned to work. She expected him to complain about every small detail, but instead he sat near the window, reviewing business reports while occasionally watching her work. She cleaned carefully without rushing, making sure everything was perfect before placing the final towel neatly in the bathroom. "I'm sorry for keeping you waiting," she said. Alexander closed his folder. "You haven't apologized for helping someone, only for delaying me." Olivia smiled faintly. "Those are two different things." A small smile appeared on his face. It was the first genuine smile he had worn all day. "Most people I meet are impressed by money." He looked around the suite. "You don't seem to care." Olivia shrugged. "Money can buy a beautiful hotel room." She picked up her cleaning cart. "It can't buy kindness." After she left, Alexander remained standing in silence. He couldn't remember the last time anyone had spoken to him so honestly. Over the following days, he found himself extending his stay at the hotel, officially claiming he had additional business meetings in the city. The truth was much simpler. He looked forward to seeing Olivia every morning. Unlike executives who constantly discussed profits and investments, Olivia spoke about baking bread with her grandmother, feeding birds in the park on Sunday afternoons, and her dream of opening a small neighborhood bakery where everyone would feel welcome. One evening, Alexander returned early from a meeting and found Olivia sitting alone in the empty hotel restaurant after her shift. She was quietly staring at a letter, her eyes filled with tears. When she noticed him approaching, she quickly folded the paper. "I'm sorry," she said, forcing a smile. "I didn't mean to sit here. You don't have to leave." Alexander replied gently. "Is everything all right?" Olivia hesitated before handing him the letter. It was from the hospital. Her grandmother needed urgent heart surgery within the next month. Without it, her condition would become life-threatening. The cost of the operation was more money than Olivia could hope to save in years. Alexander carefully folded the letter and handed it back. Does your grandmother know? Olivia shook her head. No. If she knew how expensive it was, she'd refuse the surgery because she wouldn't want me sacrificing my future for her. Alexander looked at her with quiet understanding. We'll find a solution. Olivia smiled sadly. I've been searching for one every day. Before he could respond, her manager called her back to work. As Olivia walked away, Alexander remained seated, unable to stop thinking about the woman who spent every day helping strangers while carrying so much pain herself. For years, he had believed money solved every problem. Now he realized that some people refused to ask for help even when they desperately needed it. Outside the hotel, hidden across the street beneath a black umbrella, a photographer lowered his camera after capturing several photographs of Alexander and Olivia together through the restaurant window. By sunrise, those pictures would appear on the front page of every entertainment website, and someone from Alexander's past would return with one purpose: to make sure the kind-hearted housekeeper never became part of the billionaire's future. The following morning, Olivia arrived at the hotel to find dozens of reporters gathered outside the entrance. Cameras flashed the moment they saw her. Confused, she looked at the television mounted above the lobby reception desk. Every news channel showed the same photograph of her sitting with Alexander in the hotel restaurant. The headline read, "Billionaire Alexander, read-spotted with mystery housekeeper. Guests," whispered as she hurried toward the staff entrance, trying to avoid the attention. Inside, the hotel manager stopped her before she reached the lockers. "Olivia, Mr. Reed is waiting for you." Her heart raced as she knocked on the door of the presidential suite. Alexander opened it immediately. "I'm sorry this happened," he said. "You shouldn't have to deal with reporters because of me." Olivia sighed. "I'm not worried about myself." She looked out the window at the crowd below. "I'm worried about my grandmother. If she sees all this, she'll think I've done something wrong." Before Alexander could answer, another knock echoed through the room. A tall, elegant woman entered without waiting for permission. She wore an expensive designer dress and carried herself with effortless confidence. Olivia instantly felt out of place. The woman smiled at Alexander before turning a cold gaze toward Olivia. "So, this is her." Alexander's expression hardened. "Victoria, this isn't the time." Victoria ignored him. "I flew here as soon as I saw the news." She looked Olivia up and down. "You certainly know how to attract attention." Olivia remained calm. "I didn't ask for any of this." Victoria folded her arms. "Women like you always say that." Alexander stepped between them. "Enough," his voice was firm. "You owe Olivia an apology." Victoria laughed. "You're defending a housekeeper over someone you've known for years?" "I'm defending someone who deserves respect." Realizing she had lost the argument, Victoria walked out, but not before saying, "You'll regret this." Olivia looked at Alexander. "Who is she?" "Someone my family hoped I would marry." The words lingered in the silence. "But she's not the woman I love." Olivia looked at him, surprised. Before she could respond, her phone rang. It was the hospital. Her grandmother had collapsed and needed surgery immediately. Within minutes, they arrived at the hospital together. The doctors explained that the operation could begin as soon as payment was confirmed. Olivia quietly closed her eyes, knowing she didn't have the money. Alexander stepped forward. "Schedule the surgery," he said. "I'll cover every expense." Olivia shook her head.
"I can't let you do that." He gently took her hands.
"You once told me kindness can't be bought." His eyes met hers. "Let me be kind." Tears filled her eyes as she nodded. Hours later, the surgeon emerged with a smile. The operation was a success. Relief washed over Olivia. Without thinking, she threw her arms around Alexander. Hidden nearby, Another photographer captured the emotional moment. This time, neither of them cared. News of Alexander paying for the surgery spread quickly. But what surprised the public wasn't his generosity. It was that he refused every interview, saying only that helping someone in need should never become a headline. His humility changed the way many people saw him. A few weeks later, Margaret made a full recovery and invited Alexander to her small apartment for dinner. The table was simple, the food homemade, and the laughter genuine. Alexander admitted he couldn't remember the last time a meal had felt so warm. As the evening ended, Margaret smiled knowingly. "Money can build a beautiful house," she said, "but only love can make it a home." Alexander looked at Olivia before reaching into his pocket. He wasn't holding a business contract or an expensive gift. Instead, he held a small velvet box. "Olivia," he said softly, "you showed me that the richest people aren't the ones with the biggest bank accounts. They're the ones with the biggest hearts. Will you marry me?" Tears shimmered in Olivia's eyes as she smiled through happy laughter. "Yes," she whispered. 1,000 times yes. Months later, they stood together in a quiet garden, surrounded by friends, family, and the hotel staff who had watched their story begin. Margaret proudly walked Olivia down the aisle, while Alexander waited with tears in his own eyes. As they exchanged vows beneath the golden afternoon sun, Olivia realized her greatest dream had never been finding a billionaire. It had been finding someone who loved her for the kindness in her heart. Alexander had found something even more valuable. In a world where money could buy almost anything, he had finally discovered the one thing it never could: a love built on compassion, honesty, and choosing each other every single day.